All right, let's get to our featured piece of content. So, for a while now, I've been acting a little crazy, and I have been tearing up my Minerva further than most people would take. The G6 uncommons, not thought of as being the most powerful ships. They'd really take a while to scale up before they start replacing your G5 epics, and they're also can be kind of expensive, especially in the higher levels once you get to tier 6, 7, 8. So a lot of people tend to cut them off earlier. They'll only go up to 5, maybe 6 at the highest. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we're good. I just needed something else for a little extra warp range. And I'm just going to go ahead and save those resources and use them instead to invest in modules around my base so I can go from 64 all the way to like 66 a lot faster. And I'll invest more heavily in my rare ship because that one seems to have a bigger return on investment. But me, when I went a little differently, and now we're going to see if it actually paid off at all. I decided to push my ship to tier 9 because, quite frankly, I didn't want to spend, you don't get a lot of building speed ups. So even if I had the materials to do some of these upgrades with the dry docks and the defense platforms and the warehouses and generators and vaults and things that they're all going to require you to keep up to date with, you're going to need a lot of Sigma speed ups or a lot of Latinum. And while I do have a decent supply of Latinum at 1.5 million equals 1 day, and these buildings can typically take, a day, 2, 3 days a piece. Some of them are even longer to generate, warehouses and stuff. And the platforms are, 4 or 5 days to do. What are we looking at here? Yeah, this is a 6 day. So it was like by the time I'm ready to start moving on all of these things, I'll have extra resources from my battle passes. I'll have my Revenant, which I finally got to Mark 3. So now I'm getting some more G6 materials out of that. And I'll get those materials back. That was my philosophy. That was my thought process. So I went ahead and I pushed my Minerva. You can see, well, this is over here sitting on an empty dock, basically. We're at 5 million power, but we're going to speed this up. This is going to become tier 9. And then more importantly, what that's going to let us do, it's not so much about this ship getting so much better. And then it's like, oh, well, this is better. This is going to replace my Enterprise as my grinder or things like that. It becomes another good ship, or at least a little bit better. So it'll help with, more solo armadas or maybe even hostile killing because of the warp range associated with it. But the biggest reason to do it is because of what it allows the cube to do. Because this component right here, you're kind of stuck at tier 13, waiting on this component, which is what you get from having the tier 9 upgrade. My cube right now is 1.6 billion power. My Enterprise is 2.8, I think. If we go look, Enterprise is 2.7. Even my Rotaran with the substandard crew, and there's still a couple levels to give, is 2.5. So the cube right now is still like my third best ship. But I think that's all about to change right here. And that's kind of the whole reason behind doing this. So I am going to go ahead and we are going to spend some Latinum this morning. Once we burn through the rest of these. Spend a little bit. Actually, maybe I don't need to. Well, we'll spend that. Just because. And there we go. The Minerva is now tier 9. I'm not upgrading this thing any further. There's no reason to take it anywhere above even this. But let's just, for comparison's sake, let's just put something else here. And let's put it on a real dock with real officers. And let's just kind of see how it went, right? All right. So, detail-wise, we look at the Enterprise D. We're talking about 397 DPR. We've got good stats. We've got good hull health of just over 2 billion. Shield health just under 2 billion. The warp range is a little bit limited and whatnot. But if we swap this ship out and we swap to the Minerva, obviously the shield health and the hull health go up drastically. You got way more shield health, way more hull health. And I still have some XP levels to grind out. And the damage per round also goes up a little bit now too. We're going from 397 to 445. We're going up to about 5.5 billion. And this doesn't even have any forbidden texts or anything on it either because I don't have the slots unlocked. Because, actually, yeah, I actually can unlock this slot. Nope, we're just short still. 1 or 2 more days, I'll be able to unlock that slot if I want to. And then I can actually move some techs around as well to make this thing even bigger. Put the warhead on it, that's going to add a bit of power. Put something else on it for the chaos tech, and it's certainly going to get a bit better. And also, like I said, I've got 10 levels of ship XP worth grinding out. But doing that, the whole purpose behind doing that, is it in the refinery? No. It must be a gift chest. Yeah. So now that I've gotten an Explorer upgraded, I can get the secondary parts if I ever want to build a second cube. I can get a second cube up to tier 13. But now it's about getting it up to tier 14. And like I said, we're going from 1.6 billion here, level 65, with a cutting beam that's doing 260 million damage points. Now that's between my favors as well, because we have artifact. We've got our golden hot dog. Where'd it go? Why am I blind? Oh, there it is right there. Our chronoton sample. That's right here. So this is at level 8. It's getting a 50 million damage bonus. We're going to get into the Revenant levels now. There is a cube tier lock on it. So previously I could only take it to level 10. Level 10 would be a $50 million, 100 million, 400 million. And now by going up, I can take it to 700 million. So it's going to be a huge damage boost. I have to just, spend the temporal remnants and grind the rest of this out. And then you also have another piece of research in the X Borg tree. If you have the orbits, this one will also give you some boosts here. The orbits, which you can get through the event store, starts off pretty low, but when it goes from 3 million, it goes up to 70 million. And then this max level here of 4 billion is also not available until you get the cube to tier 14. So if I keep getting the orbits, I can keep upgrading this as well. Before I forget, let's just speed something up and let's get this one actually started so we can get our cube cutting beam up. So now the beam just went up to an extra 60 million damage, and I still have some orbits that I'll need to continue to source to get that up even further. And there'll probably be a whole bunch more research in here that I'll be able to get once I also tier up the cube. But for now, let's just go back and find something. Here, let's just take this one. Sure. All right. So the cube is sitting here at 1150 warp range. Again, can't quite get to some of those bigger G6 solo armadas. And we're at 1.6 billion power, which again, a little disappointing. And we're at 263 now that I've upgraded my cutting beam a little bit with that extra research. 263 million is what it says we're doing here. Now we're going to upgrade this, and we're going to do this last component. And now we can tier up this cube over the next 33 days. Everyone just sit here and wait patiently. And never mind. All right. Now again, no big, huge upgrades. Cutting beam based on based on level. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to push that up. And we just went from 263 million to 2.9 billion. That's a huge upgrade. We're doing just under 3 billion damage now with the cutting beam. Now again, there's that tax on it. Let's not forget that. So if you're shooting things bigger than you, it's 10% per level of a damage reduction. So if I were to, go shoot a level 65 with my cutting beam, it's immediately taking 300 million off that. If I want to hit a 66, now we're taking almost 600 million off of that damage. So there is still the tax, which is annoying, but we can work around that. But certainly being able to hit 3 billion damage is going to be very helpful for things, especially people like to point out when you're doing hunting and augment space and you're going after some of those surveys. Because if you can just cutting beam a survey ship, you don't have to worry about, is this going to kill me with that 30% overload chance? It's like, no, I just zap the damn thing and I'm done. And just to check out before I go crazy, does the cube, is it fixed at that level or does it increase? I think it's fixed. Yeah. So taking it up the rest of the way, whether it's 66 or 70, it's the same number. That's not going to change. When you get to 71, it goes from 2.9 billion to 4.9 billion. So it's a 2 billion increase in damage at the next tier, but that's going to require having a G6 rare all the way up to tier 9 also, which is a big pain in the ass to get to. The surveys are immune to the beam? Oh, that's right, they are, aren't they? They're not immune to the GS beam. Well, yeah, they're not immune to the GS beam, but they are immune to the Borg Cube beam. You are right, Darth. I misremembered that. Thank you for the correction. All right, let's talk about doing some components here. What can we do? There we go. Let's get some more hull health, right? This is adding a lot more shield health and shield deflection. And suddenly, because of the extra hull health we're also adding here, we just jumped up to 3 billion power. And now we're going to do the regenerative armor, which also adds a whole bunch more hull health and armor and defensive stats. All going up pretty high, and we're getting a huge increase on hull health and whatnot. And now suddenly my cube is 5 billion power. I just went from 1.6 to 5.1, and I only did 2 components, neither of which required any actual resources other than, some commons and the actual cube parts. And we can take some of these other ones here. We can boost our damage a little bit. Do we have a ship upgrade event starting today? Probably, but whatever. I do want to be careful though, because I do have to watch where I am with Scotty. All right, I have to get to 80 million. I think we're okay. There's the cargo bay that I don't care as much about. I'll save that one for last. Let's get some weapon damage upgrades going. And I guess we'll take this 1, 2. All right, so bam. So the cube is now completely upgraded. And it effectively tripled in power. 3.5 times. I went from 1.6 to 5.4. So when people say you're crazy for wanting to upgrade the Minerva or one of the other, the Akira or the Negvar or one of those other ships, they're not really that good. It's not worth the time and effort. This is the only reason that it makes sense to do it, is if you're slow moving yourself through the progressions and you just want another bigger ship. It's not that the Minerva becomes that bigger ship. It's that the cube becomes that bigger ship. And this is the big benefit there. And now that we also got it, the warp range, I just upgraded the warp engine component. It went up to 1466. It went from 1150 to 1460, 1450. An extra 300 warp range. That's a whole big host of other systems that I can reach now. And if I also come back in here to my ex-Borg situation, I probably have a whole bunch more cube stats that I can get now because my cube is tiered up. I can get a little bit more mitigation for my other ships, a little bit more shield and hull booster. I can also do this one to boost its weapon damage a little bit. Some of these other ones in here can all get done now because the cube has also gone up a tier, including some of this stuff out here, getting a little more isolytic damage reduction, and some more shield and hull health for the cube as well. So once I probably do all these researches, which, I mean, what the heck, right? Let's pop an exocomp. plus 200 research speed. And let's have a little more fun. And let's just keep going. And I'll circle back to all your questions in just a minute. Where are my other researches? Let's clear all of them. Let's clear all of them. I hate when it gets stuck and kind of lags out like that. Okay, so let's go back into our X-Borg. And now that we've tiered up our cube, we can get more warp range, so I can get even an extra 25 more, so that might actually end up getting me closer to 1500. We can get more mitigation stats. We can get more just generic shields for all ships. Let's get those going, and let me go through real quick. What's up, VK? Welcome on in. Booty says, can't listen to them because what's good for me might not be good for them. That's true. Every player's account is always going to be a little bit differently, and the way players approach the game is also going to be a little differently. We try and just present factual information, stats, and data as much as we can, and let players use that as a tool to choose what path they want to go on. Maybe this isn't the most optimal path, but I think it's going to be a fun one for sure. I'm taking the scenic route. Sometimes it's just nice for a lovely drive in the country. Shadow Fox, would that be the same theory for G5? You don't have to go quite as far with the G5 uncommons. You only have to get that to tier 6. I did that on my free-to-play account. Now, it is a little faster because they've been giving out a lot more resources for G5, just throwing out a bunch more stuff with extra bonus refineries and things to try and help players move through G5 a little faster. And then the Revenant also really helps with that too. And it's a little more accessible to get some of those bonus tokens and things for G5 materials. But yeah, you definitely could at the lower end of G5 give yourself, a nice little boost with your cube there as well. It's not as, it's a nice upgrade. Like if you're trying to think, because I know my cube now is about 600 million, but I'm on Ops 56 on that account, and I have the rare upgrade also. I want to say it was probably around 350, 400 million before then, which is about the same strength that my tier 6 Vorcha was also. So they were kind of even to each other. So it was good for having two good ships with higher warp range and things that could go do some solo armadas and stuff together. But it's not as drastic of an increase as we're seeing here in the G6 stuff. Ace did the same thing, boosted it for the cube. Okay. TK Max, you're about a month or so behind. The Akira's still tier 8. Can't wait to upgrade your cube. Hi, Lube. Happy Sunday. Thank you for the resubscription. Happy Father's Day if you are celebrating in the UK. Probably not, but because your holidays tend to be different than ours, but let's do some research here. We just saved a few days on some of this stuff. We got our warp range up a little bit. We're going to finish these up. Oh, more mitigation stats. Sure, let's just keep officer stats. Let's get that one going too. We got our shield booster that just also went up. And we can do the hull boost one now. You guys are celebrating today too? Awesome. Senko took your Akira to tier 9 today as well. Well, congratulations. Look at that. We're doing it together. Your cube's up to 7.3 billion power now. Very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Gamer says that a big combo is having a tier 14 cube plus the quantum slipstream forbidden tech. Yeah, that's a good tech because it does give you a warp range bonus. And if you're already at 14, 1500, and now you can pretty much go anywhere instantaneously because of the transwarp drive with the cube. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Aang says you're 55 and never spent time doing the cube loot. Is it really worth it in the 60s to start upgrading it or not? Yes, as you can see here, my cube is now basically surpassing my big ships, and the maxed cubes get well over 100 billion power. Like the the G6 epics, I feel like they rank out somewhere around. I mean, obviously, research and things and players' techs and everything are going to be dependent on it. But the ones I've seen in incursions and things are like 100, 110 for some of those maxed out, Enterprise E's and whatnot at 110 billion power. And then the cubes I've seen go as high as like 130, 140. So, I mean, power not exactly the end all be all of numbers, but the cube itself has a lot of weapons. It has good firing power, rounds, sequencing, shots per round. So, again, things that add shots with officers for PvP or PvE. As the cube also continues to scale up, those benefits are going to continue to grow as well. So, cube is way cheaper to repair. That's also a thing too. The cube is cheaper to repair. So let's keep upgrading some of these stats, these things here. We got some helps now. So that requires my cube to go up to the next level. We're not going to do that one. I opened my treasury, so that's where I got all these speed ups from. Let's take that one and upgrade it. I got a whole bunch of 10-day speed ups. So this is old research. That one's now maxed. All right, let's do our cube weapon upgrade. Take an extra 40% damage there. This is 20% damage for all ships. Okay. We'll give those a second. Nevin, thank you for sharing the chart with all the new details about like what systems to go to and things. Now those systems for where can I go grind stuff and shoot it with my cube and whatnot. It is going to be a bit level dependent on your artifacts as well as your prime research, because if you have your artifact a little higher, your chronoton sample, obviously you can shoot better things. Do we have an artifact event starting? Also the export research too, if you have your orbits and you have your primes done. All right. Somebody was asking about the impulse speed of the cube compared to other battleships. Okay, let's just take a quick look here. Impulse speed 203. So relatively speaking, my Enterprise is 201. My Sanctus is 208. Obviously, the NSEA Protector is 240, so that's much faster. But relatively speaking, at 203, that's not bad. We go back and look at a Vorcha, that's only 188. I don't have a Dideritix, so I don't know what that one would be. So overall, it doesn't seem like it's that far off where it's going to be like that much slower like battleships typically are. All of those technological distinctiveness enhancements and things have allowed the cube to move a little faster than it probably should. Well, that's a good question. We're just going to take a quick peek and look and see if we have an artifact event, because if we do, and it's not going to show us yet. We got one more minute. All right, we'll come back to that in a second. Let's go back and let's do some more research. Let's see just exactly, and again, some of these researches are universal. So just because I upgraded the cube, some of them are boosting the strength of the cube. Some of them are also boosting individual points of damage. Not a lot. These are small upgrades, 10%, 20%. But again, just another drop in the bucket that all starts chipping away at larger problems. All right, we can get our cube weaponry up a little bit further. Maybe I'm behind on that one. Let's keep going. All right, that one's maxed. These I can't do until the cube gets to 18, so that's got a while to go. This one's boosting the cube's base damage against players in PvP. Okay, we like that one. Pretty sure I bought all my orbits I could out of the event store, but let me just go double check. I think it's under specialty currency. Yeah, I bought all these already. Okay. But next event store, I can pick up some more orbits, or maybe I'll get lucky with my refinery. Ooh, a Father's Day gift. What'd they give us? Hey, some more cons chips. And a gambling token. It's like a scratch off, right? It's like you just gave Dad a scratch off. Now we get here to the premium chip exchange. Guaranteed to get at least 7,200 more. We got 12,000. Okay, that's a nice little bonus. We got to mine stuff today. Sure. But I'm really just curious, is there an artifact event? Oh, I gotta wait another hour for those events to change. Never mind. Fine. Be that way. At least, hopefully it runs today, because for some reason it didn't yesterday. All right, let's do more research. Research. It's all about the research. That one's maxed. Can't take that one up any higher. These are all maxed. So now we can do some of this stuff here as well. Give the cube more shields, more hull. And hopefully this will make doing other things, like I said, like the solo armadas, like the augment possibly. We'll take it out and try it there. Solo waves, the elite solo waves. Hopefully this turns the corner. You know, the cube, when I was doing them last week, even this morning, but I was doing them on stream last week, you know, I'd get through like the first 3 waves just fine, and wave 4, the cube would always die. And the other ships would kind of have to pick up the slack. Maybe this time around now, the cube just tripled in power. Maybe now the cube's the one doing the heavier lifting. And some of the other ships are like, okay, good, we can take a break now. Is also going to boost isolytic damage against players. So again, the cube just getting stronger in PvP, which is why you see it so often in arenas. It's cheap to repair compared to other G6 ships. It uses a very small amount of Sigma materials, which is where it kind of gets the benefit of being a hybrid ship. Some of these numbers are going to start getting bigger. Not exactly sure how far I can take this one, but we're going to find out. We are going to find out. We're going to learn today. Yeah, so these are PvP based ones here that'll be helpful, but it's really these two PvE ones that I'm most concerned with right now. And thankfully my alliance is pretty good about hitting that help button. Alright, so that one's maxed. And this one here will probably also be maxed. So we'll just queue these up and we'll let those run. And now we'll kind of take a step back and evaluate where we're at. So 5.5 million. So I went up another 100 million just from doing those upgrades. And again, this isn't even on like best techs. You know, this is more universal stuff here. PvP based that tech, and this is just for getting extra loot because I was using it for grinding. And I still have a couple of ship levels to go. Let's just find out. Okay, we're getting a little extra hull health. It's moving up a little bit, not making a big impact. And if we just hypothetically speaking, let's say we just move it to our main dock for a second. Now we're up to 6 million when I actually have, you know, a solid officer crew model on it. And previously when I was fighting augments, I could kill with my Enterprise like 6 or 7 of the 62s is about what I would get to. Let's just see what we can do here now. We've got a full assortment of docks. We've got plenty of officers. Let's just go see what we can get out of this. Just for comparison purposes, right? So like here's the Enterprise fighting some 60s. I don't think I did any 62s recently, but if we go kill a couple of 62s, let's just see how it works. Well, I killed one and we're instantly charged. That's a good start. And it barely took any damage. Now these things have such a crazy number of hull health. I'm not going to be able to zap them and have it have any impact. But we're doing pretty well against the 62s, not taking a whole lot of damage. Let's move on up, because now I've got the extra warp range as well, so I could move on up and take out a 64. Yeah, we're taking a small little sliver of damage here. 13 round fight. Putting Carol, I mean, if I wanted more loot, yes. That would be something also to think about. Cube is nice for Krenim solos, people are also pointing out as well. Yeah, it getting a big power increase there should, again, whether it's your second ship or you're using now the cube and it can cover more so you could carry the relativity. Okay, well, nope, not immune. The surveys are not immune to the cutting beam. So whoever mentioned that to me earlier, that is actually does not appear to be correct. So you can zap away. Things are immune in solo waves. Maybe that's what you were referring to. But as for actually killing these augments, nope. If you had enough strength, you could beam them to death. They just happen to have, well, this is a level 70, which happens to have, 200 billion hit points. So I'm not going to be able to zap that. The D7 are immune to the beams. So the chasers are immune to the beams. Yes, the chasers are, and they're immune to the gravitational blast as well. But oh, hey, we just managed to kill that one. Nice. Okay, we're taking a little bit more damage here, but we're doing pretty decently killing them. So, and again, now I'm not going to have enough ability to zap the 70s, but if I'm in the lower systems in like the 50s or 60s, and I come across in the 50s, and looking at those level 50 surveys or even the level 60 surveys, my beam might be strong enough to take one of them out. And again, because of the advanced warp range, this is going to let me get further into these systems, so I could put Venom as captain and go start chasing some of these things down, because this one's warp 1650, so I can't get all the way out there, but I can get to the 68s. Now, if I had a tech like the slipstream drive or something on this to give it the bigger boost, then we could also make that. Yep. I like what we're seeing so far. I do like what we're seeing here. All right, there's a 66 Explorer. Let's just see what it can do. Well, we killed it. That one took a lot more hull health, though. Okay. So the 66s are probably still a little too strong. But there's another level 70 survey. Let's go find out, right? Let's just zap it to weaken it up a little bit. Because, I mean, I have the beam. I might as well use it. Either way, I'm probably going to die. Yeah, it killed me. We got the RNG. It killed us. But we can correct that problem. And this would be the bigger benefit, is we just go grab, where is he? Vemit. Thank you. I also want Carol for that. Let's do this. What system was I in? The 66. Yeah, that was the 66 system. So now I can just jump right back out with the cube. Where did it go? There it is. And now I can go pick this guy off. And that also will help drastically improve my rep grind, because these things are worth quite a bit, as well as some extra loot that we're getting as well. And I can go check out the 68 system as well. Yeah, not too bad. 3,000 epic, 7,000 rare. Like, that's pretty good for a hostile there. Plus 60,000 is the base rep amount. Then you start adding in the bonuses. And that was probably worth over 100,000 rep. And when you have to do those stupid augment events, where it's like, hey, go grind, 70 million points worth of hostiles. Well, the surveys are worth like 3 to 4 times the points. Plus, if you can kill the higher level ones, which are level 70, they're also worth a whole lot more base value points. Okay, nothing in here. So overall, I feel like I'm going to be enjoying where I'm at more. I'm not going to feel so pressured to move from 64 to 66 to get that next level of ship to kind of level up my game. This was kind of a nice little bridge to that. The Minerva itself, is it going to be better than, am I going to use it more often than maybe my Enterprise or my Rotaran? Maybe, maybe not. Slightly better in certain areas. The firing pattern not as good, but it does have better warp range, so it'll certainly not just sit in the garage collecting dust. It's going to have some more value to it for sure. But I also think that the cube is going to be a lot more active now for me. I'll be using that a lot more. Again, if only because the warp range and the instant transwarp ability. If I want to go kill my faction dailies and I have to go out here and kill level 65s or 66s, whatever I have to kill, and I have to go all the way out here instead of being like, what's this, a 6-minute flight, 7-minute flight? depending on the ship. It's like, nah, I'll just take the cube and just warp out there. I'm good. Let's go kill stuff. I'm done.